In a number of earlier videos, I presented the ITIL process map. And today we'll take a look at an additional component to our process model that is designed to help you with getting certified against ISO 20000. We call that component the ITIL ISO 20000 bridge. And the idea behind the bridge is relatively simple. We use the process diagrams and documents from the ITIL process map to show you how these can be applied to fulfill the ISO 20000 requirements. The first diagram of the bridge is kind of a portal with links to further diagrams and documents. First up here at the top right, we have a link to the original ISO 20000 document. And in case you don't know ISO 20000 so well, we're going to have a quick look. ISO 20000 is delivered in the form of a PDF that contains a long list of requirements. If we scroll down a little, say, to service level management, and then zoom in a bit, we can see a typical example. The service provider shall agree the services to be delivered with the customer. So, in ISO 20000 you will find a lot of requirements, but then ISO 20000 will not tell you how precisely you should go about fulfilling those requirements. And that's where the ITIL ISO 20000 bridge comes into the picture. As you can see, the first diagram contains links to the different sections in ISO 20000, like this one here for service level management. If we click on the link, that will open a diagram for the specific section, with first of all, requirements at the left. So here in this column at the left, in fact, we have all the requirements from the ISO 20000 standard that must be fulfilled. And now the most important part. Next to every requirement, we say which process or processes should be in place to fulfill those requirements. Of course, maybe you guessed that already, these processes are ITIL processes from our ITIL process model. So you can simply click on a link to open a process diagram that explains the process in detail, which means you get rather precise recommendations for fulfilling every single ISO 20000 requirement by implementing one or several ITIL processes. Then, if we move a bit further to the right, we can see that we also state what evidence should be in place. Think of evidence as proof that a process does not only exist on paper. That's usually checked during a certification audit, and if you are able to present a couple of documents, such as service level agreements in this case, then you are usually in a good position. Of course, also for the related evidence, we provide detailed advice. With a link, you can open a checklist for the service level agreement. And then, as you can see, this checklist describes the typical contents of such agreements. And of course, you can use this as a template if you need to create such agreements in your organization. Now let's close the checklist and then move still a bit further to the right, where we have a column for comments. In this column, you can enter notes, for example on the current state of your preparations for a specific requirement. And if we move back to the left again, you can see that next to every requirement there is a tiny circle, and these circles can be used for color coding. Green, for example, could mean that a requirement is already fulfilled, and orange could signal that something still needs to be done about a requirement. In this way, you can use these diagrams as kind of a dashboard as you prepare yourself for the ISO 20000 certification audit.